Good morning. It is Thursday, November the 26th. And I got a job interview for a film festival next week. I'm a little pumped. Today is Ace Day, which is awesome. I'm going to be talking about it later on in the video. I've already posted a bunch of selfies on Instagram, on Facebook about it, and Tumblr. So I'm gonna keep. That's the theme for today. It's Ace, Aces, me, whatever. So yeah. Hey guys. So as I said, like 5 seconds before this, it is Ace Day today, which is an important day. Asexuals, we have so little representation in the mainstream world that days like this are very important to us. It's a day where we celebrate who we are, and we're open about it, and we're friendly about it. And if you ask us questions, we'll answer them, as long as they're not rude or ignorant, stuff like that. If you genuinely are asking out of a place where you want to know something and you're willing to understand, we'll answer. I was looking back at my coming out video. It was the 7th movie I made. 7th little film I put out, and honestly, it wasn't as good as some of my other stuff that I've done since then. I mean, obviously, I learned as I went, and I just wanted to get that story out so badly that it was one of the first things I did. And there's nothing wrong with that. I got it out there as fast as I could, but now looking back on it, with the creator that I'm becoming, I feel like it deserves something better. Like my sleeve to be where it's supposed to be. But I feel like it deserves something better than what I gave it. It deserves better treatment because it's my story. It's who I am. So obviously I should be giving it the best treatment I possibly could, right? Right. So with that in mind, that is what I'm going to be talking about right now. Is my coming out story. Again. But better. I was super religious when I was younger. I'm still a little religious. No, I'm not religious. But that's not what this video is, but anyway. I was super religious when I was younger. I went to church, all that stuff. And so sex wasn't a big thing to me to begin with because, you know, Christian, you're not supposed to have sex before you get married. So I didn't really notice it that much that I wasn't feeling sexual attraction to people. In my mind, I was just being a good Christian. Now, I wasn't having sex with people. Hell, I wasn't even feeling sexual attraction to people. That is how dedicated I was to the cause. Of course, then some events transpired, and I started falling away from the church a little bit. And I wasn't as devout as I was before. But I still wasn't feeling sexual attraction to people. And I didn't attribute that to anything. I was still just going on my way, doing my thing. And then one day I was bored, and I was on Tumblr, which is never a good place to be when you're bored. And I was scrolling through, and I started seeing all these people that I followed because of Dragon Age. And they were talking about asexuality and how all these characters were ace and stuff like that. And I had no idea what that was. I mean, who talks about asexuality in the mainstream media? No one. So I didn't know what it was. So I did some research. That was typing. And I found out what asexuality was. I read about it. And my first thought, which is terrible, and it pains me to this day that this was my legitimate first thought, was, wow, they have a name for everything these days. And you're going to hate me for that? I hate myself for saying that. That was stupid. But that was my first thought. Went out the rest of my day, went to bed, and then woke up the next morning, and I spent hours researching asexuality. I was delving into it. I was reading more and more and more about it. And the more I read about it, the more I became to realize that that was me. That was who I was. That all these things were describing me. And so I began to identify myself as asexual as I was still learning about it. And I didn't come out to anyone yet. I was identifying to myself in that way, but I wasn't identifying to other people in that way. As far as everyone else knew, I was just straight. I just wasn't having any luck with the ladies, which is strange because all of my closest friends were and still are female. should have really became clear to me earlier on in life what was actually going on, but I digress. And so finally, after, I don't know, a week or so of accepting who I was, I told a friend of mine, and she was super supportive about it. So I slowly started coming out to more and more people, more of my friends. So I still hadn't came up to any of my family, but I was coming out to more of my friends, and I was more accepting of who I was. I started wearing scarves because, I mean, look at me. I look hella good in a scarf. I posted some Ace Day selfies today, and the hardest decision of my day was literally like looking at all these scars and going like, oh man, which one am I going to wear for my selfie? So I wore 3 different ones, and I made a collage and posted that because I didn't know which ones to wear. But that is off topic. So I started accepting myself more. I started acting more like how I wanted to act instead of how I thought other people wanted me to act. I started dressing the way I wanted to dress more often. I still don't all the time. I don't wear scarves like this out in town because I live in a small town. When I'm in the city, I go for it. But when I'm just in town getting groceries, something like that, I don't. It's a small town. So I finally decided that I was going to have to come out to my parents. Mainly because it was an Ace Day was coming up. And I wanted to post something on Instagram about it. And I thought, you know what? And I was going to come out on social media about it. So I was like, you know, I have to tell my parents at least. The rest of the family, oh well, but I have to tell my parents so that they don't find out on social media. So I did the next best thing. I texted them about it when I was at a friend's place, so they couldn't call me. Pretty smooth. And it was iffy. There was questions, there was a lot of misunderstandings, especially at the beginning. There was some insensitivity on both sides, my side and their side. I wasn't being understanding of their lack of understanding and stuff like that. But it's all worked out now. It's all good with them and stuff now. I came out pretty smoothly. I didn't really have that many negative reactions. I mean, there was a few. There's a few people who were like, so you're a plant? Which, until that actually happened to me, I thought it was just like this cliche joke, folktale, old wives' tale kind of situation that the Ace community had. But no, it's true. This friend of mine who asked me, she's bi, and I was like, oh hey, I'm Ace, by the way, I'm asexual. And she's like, isn't that what plants do? I was like, different kind of asexual. I'm not talking about reproduction. Ew. Gross. That was probably the roughest part of my coming out, was all that. I still haven't told, like, grandparents. No, wait, no, yeah, I have. I did tell them. They read something I wrote about it, and they were totally understanding about it. The way I came out to my aunt, I sent her a link to an interview I had done. I was like, hey, you should read this. So she read it, and she sent me this lovely text message back saying how she loves me, she accepts me, and that everyone in the family will still. It was good, it was great. I think the hardest thing for me has been how lonely it is. I mean, asexuality exists in the world, but it's such a small, little tiny part of the world. I live in a area with a bunch of small towns. The closest city, which is only like 17,000 people, so it's still not that big, is over an hour away. And the closest city of any significant size is 2.5 hours away. And so I'm living in this little tiny area, surrounded by other little tiny towns. And there's not even other people in the LGBTQA community who are out. So I'm there, but I don't have anyone close to me who can relate with what's going on in my life. I don't have any friends who are asexual. I have one friend who's demisexual, but she lives hours and hours away. I have friends online that are asexual that I talk to all the time, but they're from all over the world. So I'm here, and I go out and I hang out with my heterosexual friends, And I feel kind of lonely because I can relate to them on some things, they can relate with me on some things, but we don't connect at the big things in life. And that's the hardest part of asexuality to me, is how lonely it is. But it's on days like this, on Ace Day, where everywhere you go on social media, you see aces posting selfies like I did on Facebook and my Instagram and my Tumblr. Check them out. And you see people tweeting on Twitter about how much they love the asexual community, because we are a close community, but we're just spread out. And you start feeling a little less lonely because you see that there's people like you everywhere, even though you can't reach out and touch them, metaphorically. Be in the same physical space as them. And so it's days like this where I don't feel as lonely. I don't feel as left out of things. Because I'm not. I've got all of my asexual friends around me, and they're tweeting. And they're posting pictures, and they're happy today. That's kind of my story. I hope I do this a little better than my last coming out video. I look better. I'm more awake, and I talked a bit less. If you want to watch my last one, I'll put a link in the description below. I explain what asexuality is in it and stuff like that, instead of just talking about me. So, give it a check if you want. It's long, it's half an hour long. It starts off as a vlog for like the first couple minutes, and then all of a sudden, it's all about asexuality and stuff. So give that a check. And now, back to the regularly scheduled vlog. I changed my scarf. And I'm going to be changing it again because I'm going to go outside and shovel snow, which Chessa will like because I can throw snow at her. This is literally the 5th scarf I've had on today. I decided that this one is the best one for going out and shoveling snow. Represent. Oh, hi there. Look, it's the camera. Oh, get me away from the camera. Get me away from the camera. Don't just your tongue. Sad on them, Chessa. Working on my blog post right now, talking about Ace Day, because of course I am. That's what the day is. Excuse yourself. Okay, a time lapse like that is probably super boring because there's literally nothing changing. You can't see the screen, you can't even see my hands. It's literally just my shoulder. I don't know what I was thinking. A little bit longer video today, but that's alright. There's a lot of good stuff in it, went over a lot. So I'm going to do this fast. Click up here to subscribe, and you should. You know you should. You feel it in your heart. I said I was going to go faster. Social media details are in the links below. There's a link to my first coming out video. You can watch it. It's half an hour long. But I go a little bit more in depth. So, good. And you guys have yourselves a great day. Or night. Whatever it is for you.